You are tuned in to G5 Jeff TV. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button as you come on in. Get your popcorn, get your nachos, get your cheese, and all that good stuff. Come on in and enjoy this live. Definitely share this live. As you can see, as usual, we got the VP in the building. VP Shane, what's going on, brother?
Everything's good as always, man. Just
All right.
keeping it young and fresh, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, today we're gonna be touching on a lot of social media beef, um, which we're hoping leads to actual fights. But Gervonta Tank Davis and Regis Prograis has been going back and forth on Instagram. I've been thoroughly enjoying it, even though I know it's cap, but I'm enjoying it. Jamel Charlo and Jared Swift Hurd, same thing. A lot of talk back and forth with them. Hopefully that leads to a fight. And news broke on boxing scene that Avni Yildirim's trainer, Joel Diaz, has actually been getting death threats after the loss to Canelo Alvarez. So we definitely want to touch on that today.
Yeah, did you know on that why the people are like
So yeah, let's touch on that really quick. The report came out on Boxing Scene. I don't have the writer's name in front of me, but big shout out to them. Big shout out to Boxing Scene. Um Basically Diaz came out and said he's received death threats. He's assuming from people in Avni Yildirim's home country, and they're basically accusing Diaz of like sabotaging like Avni Yildirim and actually making him a worse fighter than he was before he went to him. When I read the story, I thought it was absolutely crazy. Um, but outside of that, I just think it's like it's not funny, but it's funny. You know what I'm saying? Like is like I'm like, yo, like Canelo's like 10 times better than Avni Yildirim. Like it has nothing to do with the trainer. So Shane, what you think about that, bro?
I mean you gotta understand that a lot of it's fanfare, you know. I nobody wants to say like death threats and stuff like that because that's just not what the sport's about. It's dangerous enough. So obviously when someone's putting their life on the line, you don't want to hear any stuff outside of the ring. You know, even when I hear people talking about meeting up outside the ring, I kind of find it a bit it's unnecessary. So the deference is definitely unnecessary. But you gotta understand that it's fanfare. You know, a lot of fighters and a lot of fighters have diehard fans. And Avni Yildirim probably from a country that has that same level of fanfare. He's from Turkey, and they're probably passionate about it. And they might have had a certain amount of belief behind Yildirim. And sometimes, as you know, we've seen it even with a Wilder situation where sometimes you want to point the finger at somebody, and the fighter is the hardest person to point the finger at because you love him so much. That's what I mean. The fanfare, the following, the I mean, where we don't have that same look and that mirror over our eyes when we look at Avni Yildirim because we just see him as another boxer. We don't have that emotional connection. But people who are from Turkey maybe and maybe feel like Avni Yildirim represent him and represent the country, you know, they might have that same tie. And maybe their vision was clouded by that same affiliation to that fighter. And because of that, that will lead them to point the finger at anybody that they can. They can't point it at Canelo, they can't point it at the referee, can't point it at the judges. So I guess the easiest person to point it at is the trainer.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that story. And I knew his fans was pretty crazy in Turkey because they literally did like a whole parade for him in support, like outside of um like just outside in the streets, like prior to the fight. So I knew his fans was pretty deep out there in Turkey, but to say that Diaz actually sabotaged the camp,
But
like
you gotta understand, I remember we were talking about perception the other day,
mhm,
and Diaz is a Mexican trainer, is Mexican, I assume, no?
right, right.
So obviously, Canelo's seen as a Mexican god. If I'm Turkish and I'm not a massive boxing fan, and let's say I see Avni Yildirim fight a style that is worse off than we've seen him. Let's say, regardless of how you look at it, he fought better against Darrell. Was it Darrell he fought?
Yes,
He fought better against Darrell.
right.
And
But was
in
Diaz in the corner for that fight though?
I don't know. I would, but even if he was or wasn't, it would lead them to either be further. It will lead them to be asked even more questions because if he was in the corner, they will definitely say, okay, why is he looking so bad in the the Canelo fight, but not the real fight. And if he wasn't in the corner, they would say, okay, it's definitely Diaz's fault because before he was with Diaz, he was looking 10 times better. So that's how they look at it. It's like, okay, we're gonna expect a certain style of fighter, and they may not have put into their head that Canelo's a better fighter than the real. They might not have put it into their head like that because they might not be a hardcore boxing fan. They might just like boxing because of Yildirim. That literally might be the case.
Right,
And
right,
they've seen Yildirim, who they support and who they love and who they think fights a certain way. And when they saw him fight against Duro, they thought, "Oh, he's a good fighter. He's someone we can support." Now they've seen him fight a Mexican, and within his own right, he's got a Mexican trainer, which he has the right to do. They could see it as there's some form of affiliation or tie. I don't believe it, but we're talking about someone who could be just a Turkish casual who doesn't watch boxing.
yeah. I mean, me personally, it sounded like somebody put some big money on Avenue Yildirim and lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know how that go when you sports betting and things like that. Like you
But
know,
what I was more surprised about, because tweets and stuff like that we see all the time. People say, "Oh, I can't wait for you to die." All of that tweets is tweets, is social media. But the fact that the train has actually gone to the public about it, I kind of find that more significant because that actually means he must feel a certain level of threat. And I know I'm from London, and anybody who's from London, they will tell you the Turkish community is heavy in London. It's very, very, there's a high amount of Turkish. The population of Turkish people in London is high. And anybody knows about that culture, they're about their business. Like they are seriously about their business. So
right,
they must, Diaz must have felt a certain level of threat to go to the press about it because if someone just on Twitter says, I can't wait for you to die, or if I see you, I kill you, I don't really feel like he's gonna be that fearful of his life. But for him to go to the media, there has to be a certain level of fear, I assume.
right. Um, yeah, I mean it's crazy. You know what I mean? And I'm mad right now, man, because Boxing First Vlog trying to get in here and it's still saying the device is not connecting. Lynette Carroll said, "Hey nephew, hey, what's going on?" That's family right there. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Boxer First Vlog joint. Um, bro, I put the link in the chat. Also, we gotta wait for people to get in. But if you do want to jump in, um, the link is definitely in the chat. But going back to the Yildirim situation, like the fanfare that you have, especially when you have like a whole country behind you, it can be so intense to the point to where it's delusional. Like because I know like you take like Ricky Hatton for example, people have lost plenty of money on Ricky Hatton. Like between the Floyd fight and the Pacquiao fight alone, they probably lost a lot of money. But for them, they're such big fans of Ricky Hatton. They didn't even really care. Like they felt like they had to, ride out for the guy, by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? So
And what you also have to understand is, and I read this in a book, I've read so much boxing books, and I read this in a book. Boxing, the origins of boxing comes from my town versus your town. That's how it started. I'm going to get the best of my town to represent my town, and you're going to get the best of your town who represents your town. This is before skills. This is before. you start to see rules and stuff like that. It's just this person's representing your town. It's gone beyond this individual. It's gone beyond Jeff. It's not about Jeff fighting anymore. It's about Philly fighting. So let's say Jeff's fighting for
Right.
Philly. It's about
Right.
Philly fighting. So everybody in Philly is looking at Jeff like this is the cream of the crop of this area. So if you look bad, the area looks bad. And I give you an example of that, of how it stems back into what's it called? It stems into boxing. Let's say a Cuban fighter. If we saw a Cuban fighter and he didn't really have much skills, we would look at him like, wait a minute, this guy's Cuban. How does he not have that much skills? Like, we automatically, our eyebrows are raised because we know we naturally we associate a Cuban fighter having skills. It's the same with Mexican fighters. Mexican fighters having heart. So it's like certain regions back that and even Will's like that. Will Stokes is like that. He's a person who he backs a certain country because of the
Right.
country. And that
Right.
and I guess that's just down to your inception into boxing. How did you step into boxing? Did you start by supporting your home fighter and then liking other fighters, or was it just a case of you fell in love with a sport? And what you find out in these countries that have this one face, this, America and Britain's too privileged in the sense that we have so much fighters. In countries like that, they don't have that much. So it's not like when you're seeing a person from your country, you're naturally so tied to that person because there's nobody else to be tied to.
Yeah, so it's kind of like take like Bradis when he fought Dorticos, and like that fanfare that they have in that country for Bradis. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's it's a lot of it's a lot of that going on, especially in the states. Like I know I'm from Philly, so of course I'm a ride for the Philly fighter. Somebody that's from Texas, like Stay Ready Boxing, he's gonna ride out for the Texas fighter. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
that's just how it goes in sports. Like 9 times out of 10, you represent you're a fan of the place that you're from. You know what
I'm
I'm
just
saying?
that 1 out of 10. I'm just that 1 out of 10. I
You
don't.
just
I personally, and I was saying this week, boxing should be fought in a certain way. And if it's not fought in that certain way, I don't like you. I don't like you I don't like your fighting style. I won't ever like associate your style with how you are as a person, but I don't like your fighting
correct.
style. And because of that, I just fall out of love with a lot of fighters who fight a certain way. And it's not because I have a tie to a certain country or I hate a certain country. It's just if you fight a certain style, I actually don't like it. I just don't find it pleasing enough because I just find it lazy. Because boxing is hit, not get hit. If you're only doing one
Right.
of the jobs, just not, you just won't be seen as a great fighter in my eyes.
No, I agree with that 100%. Now, when I started watching boxing, I was introduced, of course, to Philly fighters, the Philly culture, things like that. But I wasn't necessarily just a fan of Philly fighters. It was really just certain styles that I liked. You know what I mean? I like the aggressiveness, but just the slickness along with it. So I like the Roy Jones. I like the James Tonys of the world. But then at the same time, there was guys like Nigel Benn that I love watching, and Eubank Senior and guys like that. So there's a lot of different styles that I like. I guess it really depends on the small things they're doing inside the ring, whether I'm a fan of theirs or not. You know what I'm saying? Like you take Nigel Benn, like he was an aggressive fighter. I liked him, but you take like a Brandon Rios, he's an aggressive fighter, but I didn't like his style. You know what I mean? Like,
Personally, I wasn't, and this is probably sound crazy, but I wasn't. I'm not even when I look back at it. I'm not really a fan of Nigel Ben. I prefer Michael Watson. With him, Eubank, and Ben, I actually prefer Michael Watson. I like Michael Watson's style
yeah,
because of,
Watson's style was nice. And
because
his name gets forgotten.
because of
Um,
the accident against Eubank. But me,
yeah,
me personally, like he was the closest. Again, I wasn't alive during this time, but when I look back, he's the closest thing that Britain had to a James Tony Roy Jones in terms of like what he was trying to do in the ring. You know, Eubank was a bit lazy as a fighter, and Nigel Benn was just all out aggression. Whereas he had Mark Watson, who tried to mix it up, he can crack. He did focus a bit on defense as well, mainly footwork. So I like fighters who mix it up. That's why in sport right now, my favorite fighter. Well, in the sport right now, I probably got the fighters who I love to see the most are the fighters who put defense as high as offense.
Right. And that's in the minority. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely in the minority where somebody puts defense just as high as offense. So, but I'm the same way. I like guys like I mean, you take it back, Pernell Whitaker, you know, James Toney, guys like that. Those are the guys that I like. Even slick guys now, like a Rasheem Jefferson, you
Is
know.
is Avni Yildirim, is
Mhm.
he a gatekeeper?
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why the death threats is crazy.
Who would you want to see him fight next? Like a Edgar Berlanga or something like that?
Caleb Plant.
Nah, I don't want to see that fight. No way. No way.
Caleb Plant.
No way, bro. Caleb Plant's supposed to be a champion. He's not supposed to be fighting gatekeepers.
Let me explain why I said Caleb Plant. If Avni Yildirim faces Caleb Plant right now, Avni Yildirim will be a top 3 opponent on his resume.
Yeah, but he can go for better. Just because he'll be a top three doesn't mean it's a good name.
Well, the thing is, like I just threw that name out there because if he fought Caleb Plant, that means he would get another title shot, and I'm completely against that. So, matter of fact, I take that back. I take
How
that
do
back.
you want to see Caleb Plant fight? I mean, even if he fought, I mean, I'm looking at the division. It's not much fighters for him to fight. The 168, I think it was Blunt saying 168 is the weakest division. I have to subscribe to that.
Hmm.
I have to agree with that. It is the weakest division. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's not much
thinking,
going on.
who is there? I mean, you still got Belonga, as I said before. Who else is there that he could actually
Uh,
fight?
Steven Nelson, Steven so called Nelson from out
Yeah, he's
of
still there. I
yeah,
mean, you
from out
can.
of
I
Crawford.
mean, is Davis staying at 168?
Cool.
Tyron Davis, is he staying at 168?
Um, I'm not sure, but that's a good fight. I think Kyron beats him though.
I mean, that's a good fight though. That's a
That's
good
a
fight.
good fight. Yeah, it's definitely a good fight. Um, yeah, 168 is real lackluster. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's more of an indictment on Avni Yildirim. The fact that we think 168 might be one of the worst divisions in boxing, and we still think he's a gatekeeper in that division.
But it's the worst division in boxing because there's not a lot of top level fighters. You know, and to be fair, all due respect to American fighters, it's never really been a division that America has a lot
Embraced.
of. Huh?
Yeah, it's a division that Americans haven't really embraced like
Yeah, they
throughout
never really
history.
embrace it. It's either middleweight or lightweight, like
That-
heavyweight. Sorry, like
yeah,
even if you look at the likes of James Tony, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones, they all really made their name at 168, 175. Sorry,
right, right. So 168 is kind of like that little brother division. You know
even
what I
Andre
mean?
Ward, he was unified champion at 168, but people remember him for his 175 days. You see my point? And his
Right,
biggest wins were at 168. That's my
right.
point. Like, it's
And
crazy. It's
and
never
that's
really
why
been a division. So sorry, continue.
yeah, and that's why I thought Chad Dawson was a fool for going down to 168 for that fight against Andre Ward. He was a
Yeah,
champion 175, and Ward had no more pull than Chad Dawson. Like Chad Dawson should have had Andre Ward move up to 175. And Chad Dawson had the same HBO contract as Andre Ward did. So they both had the network deals. They both were champions. He was just really just stuck on going down to 168. And I was just like, yeah, I was like, that's that ain't gonna work. You know what I'm
today
saying?
it's taking long for the needle to move on the comment.
Yeah. And a lot of that, to be honest with you, it's a light week. Heading up to the weekend, we got some great fights actually coming up this weekend. I know this is not on the docket, but um, I love the David Benavidez card. The undercard fights.
He's on that card.
Isaac Cruz Gonzalez, Manny Pacquiao's fighter. Um, he's on the undercard of that card. You have who else? Who else? Who else? Terrell Gachet is on that
Oh
card.
wow.
He's fighting Jamonte Clark. Jamonte Clark is the guy that gave Sebastian Fondora a draw. So that's a good fight. That
Yeah,
fight
that's a
is
dope
on there.
one.
Yeah. Then Showtime got a card tomorrow. Brandon Lee and Samuel T. That's the main event on that one. And then there's 2, 3 other fights where it's undefeated guys fighting. So that's a
And
solid card.
you got weekend. You got Estrada versus Chocolatito. And then you got that
Strada versus Chocolatito. Yeah.
Raymond
So
Foods
it's
on that card. Amo Williams on that card.
Ammo, Ammo Williams and the late replacement Dennis Dublin. That's a good fight. And Ammo's moving up in weight for that too. So
He
that's an
moved up to
8 round fight.
160.
He's moving up to 168.
168. Why did I think Amo Williams was 154?
Nah, he 160. He 160. Yeah. 160 pounds. He moving up to 168. I actually hit up L Dub Boxing last night, and I said it's gonna be a tough fight, and he was like, nah. He was like, Ammo gonna win that fight, unanimous decision. I said he might. I said, but when you stepping up in competition and you moving up a whole weight class, that's a tall task. And I'm not saying, I mean, Ammo's still the favorite. Don't get me wrong, but you know,
I wouldn't put money against him.
no, I definitely wouldn't. But if it ends up being a tough grind out fight, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I wouldn't be surprised one bit at all. You know what I'm saying? So we got some nice cards coming up. It's just we're coming off of a weekend where it just really
Empty.
wasn't nothing going on, like really outside of the Clarissa Shields thing. And to be honest with you, outside of the Clarissa Shields fight, just the significance of it, the actual fight wasn't competitive.
Not at all.
Yeah, like the fight wasn't competitive. So it's just one of those things. We got Boxing Learner in the building. Boxing Learner.
This is your best of. You might as well just jump in the live, bro.
Hey, Boxing Learner, you might as well just click the link and jump on in, man. This is probably
You
the best
literally
time for
don't
you to
even have
do
to
it.
turn your camera on neither.
You ain't gotta turn your camera on either, man. Like just if you want to jump in, the link is right above and you can jump in. Because it's basically a slow one today. But let's you know what? Let's get into Charlo and Jared Hurd. They've been talking a lot of smack to each other on Instagram. You have any thoughts on that, brother?
Sorry?
You have any thoughts on
Oh no, I heard what you said. I heard what you
Charlo
said.
and
I
Jared
thought
Hurd?
you said I heard you. I mean, it was a fight I wanted to see when Hurd beat Lara. I mean, that was a fight I really wanted to see. And then when Hurd lost to J Rock and um Charlo lost to I'm going a mental block. Charlo lost to Harrison.
Harrison, right?
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in it. But I've always thought, even when Charlo lost to Harrison, I always thought that Charlo would beat Hurd. I just thought he had a bit too much style for it. But now that Charlo's in a place of leverage and power, I feel like I can't see that Hurd fight happening. I mean, he's one fight away from being undisputed. And the reason why that's so significant is because we're gonna see another undisputed fight this this maybe next month in Taylor versus Ramirez. Or that's May, sorry, not next month. May.
May, right, right.
And it's all about status at the moment. TFE more undisputed. AJ Fury undisputed, and you got what's it called? Ramirez Taylor undisputed.
Right.
PBC haven't really made an undisputed fight. This is their best chance to do it. Top Rank's made three in the past, is about to make three in the past year. I mean, let's keep it
Right.
real. That's dope. And they made Terence Crawford undisputed as well. So in the time of them having undisputed fight, they in the time it's they've had four within the space of nothing. You see my point? So
Right.
I see that happening faster than I see anything else happening. And Charlo's at the top of the world right now. He's literally at the top of the world because let's say 2 years ago he was coming off a defeat, and I would even say 2 years. When did he fight the rematch with Harrison? Was it the end of
Uh,
2019?
I think so. We got Boxing Learner in the building. Boxing Learner, what's going on, bro?
What's up, guys? Everything's going good.
That's what's
Good
up.
to have
That's what's
you on.
up.
It's good to have you on.
It's good having you on, man. You be in the comment section like crazy. So, it was like, yo, we gotta get him in. So we talking Charlo and Hurd right now. You have any thoughts on that, Learner?
Um, I think that Hurd should rematch J Rock and beat him. If he beats J Rock, then yeah, he should fight. He should be able to fight Jamel.
You know what? I don't even have a problem with that proposition, to be honest with you. Like, and I wasn't even thinking about that until you just said it. Um, J Rock needs a significant win to get himself back, but so does Hurd. So why not get a rematch in? That's actually not a bad idea. Um, with Hurd, it's just the trash talk is cool. Don't get me wrong. The trash talk is cool, it's entertaining and all that. But I'm like, you and Charlo had belts at the same time. Like y'all could have got that shit in when y'all had belts.
And there was no promotional issues at the time as well.
No promotional issues, no nothing. And I know for a fact Jared Hurd didn't take the fight because it was a belief that the Charlos was on the finest juices. And that was it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's just one of them things, man. Like, it's just sad that it didn't happen, when it was supposed to happen.
Who
You know,
said who thought who was on the juices?
Hurd.
yeah.
Go ahead, Learner. Go ahead.
I think it was her. Yeah, Hurd was accusing Charlo of being on steroids.
Isn't that so ironic when Hurd refused to sign up to the clean boxing program or get VADA testing for the what's it called rematch? Do you remember? Refused to take VADA testing for the
The J Rock
um
fight.
J-Rock rematch, which I found so ironic. Now you're saying what you're just saying because I've always thought that Hurd was on something. Well, I didn't think that, but I've always had that at the back of the mind to ask that question: is Hurd on something? Because of how easy he makes weight, but how big he is at rehydrate when he's rehydrated, and how active he is as a fighter. And also, when I saw that he was refusing to sign up to the clean boxing pro, no, I rather I keep saying that when he refused to take VADA testing, I was even more disturbed by that, to be honest.
Yeah, because what happened was once J Rock beat Jared Hurd, if you remember, J Rock was the one that said Charlo was on the juices, Jamal was on the juices. He was saying it, Breadman was saying it. There was a lot of people saying it, but they were saying that camp. It wasn't just Jamel Charlo. It was Jamel Charlo, Jamal Charlo, and Errol Spence. They were saying that
Yeah.
camp was on the juices. So, and it wasn't just Hurd either. Like throughout boxing, like boxing circles, like that was a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like that was definitely a conversation. So, yeah, it's crazy. Once J Rock won the belt, he was like, whoever he fights is gonna have to do VADA, and I think he was saying like 2 months in advance or 3 months
Who
in
do you think
advance or
wins
something
that
like
fight?
that. Say it again.
Who do you think wins that fight?
Between
Hurd
who?
and Charlo.
I think me personally, I think Charlo, just because um, he's not doing too much adjusting. Like with the way he's been fighting for years is working. So he's just gonna look more natural inside of the ring. Where Hurd is still like under his new trainer, he's probably doing a lot of learning. But you can tell in his last fight against Francisco Santana, like he was trying to box, like trying to find
Yeah,
himself.
I
You know
remember
what I'm
that.
saying? Which is cool. Like, but that's what happens a lot of times. You get with a different trainer, and all of a sudden they want to change their entire style. And I'm like, a
But
lot of
that
times it's more of a detriment.
I get that, but I do agree to a certain. Sorry, boxing in, because I'm not even getting you in, but I do agree to a certain degree because it was his downfall, the style that he used to fight. He used to get hit way too much. And that's just something that I thought if he could improve defensively, he has the size and the engine, does have a good amount of pop, and he's got a good chin. He
Yeah.
does have he does have a lot of attributes to actually be very effective.
Right. Boxing learner, what you think about that? Who you think will win between Charlo and Hurd?
I think Jamel will win because he has the right amount of aggression, boxing skills, and he got a lot of power. I just think that all coming together, and he's got a lot of momentum right now. So I think he's not going to let her take it from him.
Yeah, and her and learner, the main problem I have is, like Shane said, like I don't have a problem with him trying to switch his style up, but a lot of times when you switch your style up, you kind of abandon what actually got you there to begin with. So I'll take the Francisco Santana fight. So he was moving around the ring. He was doing some boxing. He was moving well. Like he was moving well, picking his shots. He was, not getting hit by anything, even though he was fighting a guy probably 2 weight classes below him. But just the principle, you know what I'm saying? Like he was going about his business the correct way. What he didn't do a lot of the fight is actually use his size to make the fight easier. He was so programmed to move around the ring, box, avoid this shot, avoid that shot. He actually made the fight longer and he made the fight harder for himself trying to incorporate this new style. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where I felt like he could have used those same
So
attributes.
he's in the building.
Yeah, Soul A is in the building. I'm gonna get to you in just a moment, bro. But that Francisco Santana fight, like he really put it together in the last round when he could have did that in round 4.
Mm.
I'll throw something at you though, and
Hmm.
this is where I would say I personally feel like Charlo's hardest fight is probably gonna come in the shape of someone he doesn't expect. Because if you look at it, a lot of the guys at 154, they all fight, come forward fight, not much defense, all aggressive and all trying to fight in the pocket. I feel like when he fights someone who does try to box, he will actually struggle more, kind of like how he struggled in the Harrison fight, because I'm not saying that's his weakness, but I would say him fighting off the back foot and controlling distance, he's a much better fighter. He's just much more
Yeah,
comfortable. And
yeah.
I
I
feel
mean,
like when
I
the
agree with that.
fighter's the one who's controlling the distance, that's maybe why Hurd is trying to fight that way. Making Charlo have to go and catch him. Make Charlo have to think about being the predator for once instead of being the person who's always he kind of no, he doesn't always play the matador, but some of his last few fights he's been playing the matador.
Yeah, the thing with her though, his train. I'm big boxing learner. You've been listening to me for a while, so I always say I always check a fighter to see how they transition from defense to offense.
Yep.
That's the main ingredient to a great fighter. A guy to transition from defense to offense, offense to defense quickly. You know what I mean? Like and it's smooth. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So a lot of times there, if a person is transitioning from offense to defense, they're not getting caught in the pocket or they're not getting caught with a bang bang shot, similar to like Tiafimo when he fought Comey. Something like that. I don't like how her transitions from defense to offense, even in that Francisco Santana fight, he felt like he had to get out of range to get away from shots. And I'm like, you're kind of going back to square one. I'm like, the art of defense to actually to avoid the shot and try the best you can to keep yourself in position and make them pay. So he was making Francisco Santana miss,
But
but he was so out of range, he wasn't making him pay.
that comes with work though. That definitely comes with work. It's hard to change the habit of a lifetime.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why he should keep his same style, but just maybe incorporate maybe two or three things. Because Hurd to be good, Hurd don't use his legs, and I'm talking upper body. Like he doesn't use his legs to get low, like upper body movement. That's his problem. So like when he tries to shoulder roll, it doesn't necessarily work. Like he's always catching a shot somewhere. That's how J Rock has so much success against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get to Sewell A real quick. Sewell A, what's going on, bro? Big shout out to you. He said, don't know if you discussed this earlier, but do you guys think Regis will get a fight with Broner or Tank Davis? I don't think he'll get either. Broner only wants big paydays and Tank is protected. You know what? That's a good segue into that topic. Let's get Boxing Learner to jump on that first. You heard the comment, bro?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, go ahead and shoot. Go ahead and shoot your shit.
All right, man. I think that Tank Davis and Regis Prograis. I saw your video today. I think maybe At first I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. It's too close of a fight. And actually, I think Regis will win. Like I have it 60-40 for Regis.
Yeah.
Against
Against Tank or Broner?
Against Gervonta, because I think there's going to be maybe a catch weight. There's going to be a catch weight if he fights Regis. So I'm going with 60-40.
there is no way on God's green out Floyd makes that fight. There is no way Floyd makes that fight.
A Boxing Learner.
Any money on that Floyd
Boxing Learner. Let me tell you how much Shane and I think alike. I can almost guarantee you he didn't hear my video earlier today.
I didn't watch it at all.
He didn't watch.
I knew we were gonna be talking about it today, so I kind of thought there's no point in me watching it.
A Boxing Learner. Did I not say at 140 the fight could happen, but if it's up to Floyd, he's gonna follow a certain blueprint.
Yeah, you said like in one or three fights. If he had like at least 3 fights, then it's possible that he could fight Regis. But it's to Floyd. Nah.
Yeah, Shane, I basically said like I took BoxingFirst Vlog's point from the last live where he was like, I talked to him off camera. He basically was like, he had the opinions on Tank at 140 as far as a Barrios fight because he felt like Tank is going to be at 140 for a good amount of time. I said, so if you take that logic, then yeah, you would think like Prograis could be in play, for Tank. But it goes completely against Floyd blueprint. Like,
I mean, Floyd is
completely
looking
against
for more Leo Santa Cruz fights that to a casual might be entertaining, and to the you're gonna get the Mexican fans behind it,
Right.
and gonna get some eyeballs. And that was a brilliant play by Floyd because it's for a tight 130. It was a good build up, and it ended up getting a lot of interest, and it still kind of kept Tank with a lot of credibility, and he got a showroom knockout. It done wonders for his profile. That's why I was so disappointed that he didn't go for the Garcia fight, because I thought the Garcia fight was just another fight that would be exactly the same as Leo Santa Cruz. Not in terms of how the fight will go, I just mean in terms of how easy it will be to build and how winnable it is for Tank. Regis is a complete. He's a hardcore delight. So a hardcore loves Regis.
Right.
I haven't seen one hardcore fan that doesn't like how Regis fights. He's a guy who gets it. He wants all the work. He wanted Ramirez. He wanted Taylor. He fought Taylor. Sorry, he was supposed to fight Maurice Hooker. He wants all the work whenever he can get the work. So
Right.
he's a hardcore delight. When you look at someone like Tank, you just think there's no way Floyd is gonna put him in the fight with Regis. There's no way.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
That's the problem.
Think Floyd would fight Regis. I'll keep it real.
I was getting ready to say when was on his run, and let me make this clear: we're not saying that Regis would beat Floyd. We're not saying that.
Not at
What
all.
we're saying is when it comes down to it, like a guy like Regis Prograis would be too close to a 50-50 proposition for Floyd to take. So if
And
he wouldn't take that fight, he's definitely not going to put Tank up.
the
Like only
reward
time
don't
he
match
would,
the what's it called? The reward don't match the
yeah, the only way that
the
fight
risk.
happens, bro, is in Boxing Learn. I want you to jump in after this. Only way that fight happens is unless the winner of Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez drop the belts. They go up to 147, drop the belts, and there's a vacant belt on the line. And they order Tank Davis and Regis Prograis. Like that's the only way I can really.
The reason why I don't even see that happening, bro, is because Tank has so much other options at other weight class. That's why I hated the move to 140 because now he just made it open that whenever he doesn't want to fight, he'll just drop a weight or add a weight, and I just didn't want that.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's like he has work at
He has the
130.
comment, by the way.
I got you. He has work at 130. He has work at 135. And he decides to go up to 140 now. Of course, the Barrios fight is a rumor. But Boxing Learn, a question for you. Do you feel like the 140 move is unnecessary? Do you like the move, dislike the move? How you feel about that?
I think it came out of nowhere. I thought it was pretty stupid.
It
I thought
came out of left field.
I thought that he was gonna fight Garcia because that's what he was saying. He said after Ryan wins, I'm gonna fight him. And the main Pacquiao thing happened. I'm like, wait, that thing kind of came out of left field too. I'm like, and then after the main Pacquiao thing fell out, it looked like Gervonta moved on to something else. I thought he was gonna fight Garrett Russell. I'm like, all right, finally he was gonna fight Garrett Russell, and we'll see who's the better of those two guys. But I don't know. It was kind of like that Canelo thing, like with Sergey Kovalev. Like no one really knows what it is, but they somehow came up with it. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. You talking about when Canelo went up to 175?
yes. I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like, you could have just fought Charlo 2019 and get that fight done with. That was a perfect
Right.
for me.
Yeah, when I seen the rumor of like Tank and Barrios, I was like, I'm like Barrios. I'm like 140. I'm like he going up to 140. I'm like that's crazy, and I'm like Barrios ain't
But that hasn't
like
been announced, has it? I'm hoping it hasn't.
it hasn't been announced, but enough inside people are saying like it's definitely in the late stages of being made. So I do believe it.
I don't want to see that fight. I just wanted to see Tank versus Ryan Garcia. That's all I really want. I didn't even want to see Tank
I,
versus Teofimo Lopez. I wanted to
you know,
see Tank versus Ryan Garcia.
Yo, a boxing learner, if you could pick one fight for Tank right now, what would that fight be for you?
Ryan Garcia, that fight's already been built, man. It's been built. It's been simmering for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
That's a 400. That's a 300,000 pay per view. That's 300,000 pay per views, bro.
How many pay-per-view buys you think that'll do, learner?
Maybe 350,000. Yeah,
Okay. Where you from, learner?
I'm out here in Texas, man.
Oh
Another Texas
man,
boy.
Texas family. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you familiar with Stay Ready Boxing and all that?
Stay Ready Box. No, I never heard about those guys,
Okay.
but if
Yeah,
this,
How
what
did you hear about this channel?
I just, I was like just, looking for different boxing channels because I became a boxing fan around 2018. So I was trying to learn as much as I can. So I was subscribing to as much channels, any boxing channel pretty much I was subscribed to. And as time went down, I tried to dwindle down to the ones I really liked, and this was one of them, along with Ring IQ and
yeah,
some.
Ring IQ score. Yeah, Ring
I
IQ is
mean,
real cool.
that's dope because your name is Boxing Learn, and I love that because that means
Yeah, that's a
you're
dope
still
ass
willing to
name,
learn,
yo.
bro. Yeah, that's dope.
That's
That's
a
dope.
dope ass name, man. Because it just whenever you have a name that you feel like it defines you, like it's a dope ass name. You know what I'm
What?
saying?
How old are you?
I'm 24 now.
Yeah, yeah. So it's crazy, learner, because when I first started the channel,
Hmm.
Shane jumped on in the comment section probably when I had like Shane was it like less than 100 views.
Bro,
Like
you were getting like you had less than 20 subscribers, bro.
I had like less than 20 subscribers, bro, and Shane was in the comment section
The
and
same thing as
just
you, bro. Literally
same
the
thing as
same
you.
thing. I
Same
just
thing.
I don't care how much views you got. I just want to see who's saying something that I find like this guy knows about boxing. And when I was listening to Jeff was one of the guys who was like, oh, this guy knows about boxing. And I just ended up subscribing to his channel just because of how much he knew about boxing. I didn't even care how much subscribers or how much views he was doing. I
Yeah,
didn't end up
so
finding up on Instagram, which is funny.
right. So we ended up he's been there from the start. Boxing First Vlog been there from the beginning. I think Boxing First Vlog might have jumped on after I got to like 100, something like that. But I mean, he's basically been here from the start to where we at now. So that's crazy. That you haven't been a fan for that long, but you wanting to go through the process of actually um trying to get educated. And it seems like you picked some good channels because Ring IQ knows his stuff. Ring IQ definitely knows his stuff. He definitely has a really good channel going on. Let me get in these comments real quick. Sue, before I read your next comment, brother, we got the link in the description. So if you want to jump in, turn your camera off, you want to jump in, um, feel free to do so. Sewell A said it's sad how Regis had a fight of the year against Josh Taylor, and now Josh Taylor will fight for undisputed and move up and fight Crawford, while Regis can't get a Barrios Tank or a Broner fight. Let me answer. Let me get at that real quick. Sewell A, as cruel as this sounds, that's what happens when you fight a unification fight in a final in the World Boxing Super Series for all the marbles. The person that takes the L gets knocked down on the ladder. You know what I'm saying? So even though that's unfortunate for Regis, he had his chance against Josh Taylor and he just came up short. Now I personally thought he won the fight. I personally thought he won the fight,
Yeah.
but the thing and it's crazy. Learning. Let me tell you this real quick. That fight happened the same time. It was another fight that I got credentials for and I traveled out to that fight. What fight was it? Oh, it was the Erickson Lubin fight.
Yeah. Nate
The
Gallimore.
Erickson Lubin, Nate Gallimore. So Lerner, that was the first time that I ever basically went to a fight, basically. Like that was one of my first accreditations. Um, and I'm on the way out there, I'm driving out there. I told Shane before the fight, I said, yo, Josh Taylor's gonna win the fight by decision, but I'm like, Regis, it's gonna be some shiftiness as far as the scorecards. And I called the exact scorecard.
But it was close enough where it could go to either guy because I've watched it back and I've even scored a draw once. So
Right.
it's a close enough fight. What I would say is, and what Soleil is saying is, which I agree with, is the fact that it's just unfair that he can't get any other fight. That's what I would say
Yeah.
is just unfair. Him
Yeah.
losing, okay, you take that on the chin, but he can't get any other fights. I mean, he tried to get the Marie Tucker fight, which I thought he was gonna win easy. I thought that'd been easy
Yeah.
work for him. But
He'd have beat Hooker. He'd have
he
beat Hooker
still
by
can't get that fight. And me personally, out of the three, out of Tank and Broner, I want him to fight Robert Easter because Robert Easter's
that's a
got the
great
same
that's a great fight.
team. I'd prefer him to fight Robert Easter.
That's a great fight. And Sewell A, you 100% correct. From this sense, um, a person that fights a unification fight for all the marbles, they had the balls to get into a World Boxing Super Series and go to the other guy's home country to actually fight in the final. Um, even though he lost, you want for him to be rewarded with something else. Like we have to start rewarding guys
For
that
taking
even
the risk.
lose for taking the risk. So
Has
from
he
that
fought since
aspect,
then? Has he fought since then?
yeah, he fought. He fought
Yeah,
once. He got a
he fought
knockout.
last summer, innit? Like not last summer, last year. I remember that fight.
Yeah,
I
but
remember that fight.
he missed weight. He missed weight, and it's funny because Stay Ready Boxing interviewed him before the weigh-in. Said he was Stay Ready asked him was he on weight. He said he was on weight, and he came in overweight. But yeah, he had a fight since then. So Sewell A, we definitely agree with you as
Who
far
A says
as
he
that.
also said in the next comment, he said
You go ahead and read it, bro.
It's Josh Taylor. If Josh Taylor's a real one, he will give Regis a rematch. That was a Fight of the Year nominee and definitely deserves a part two. I agree. I'm really call for rematches. Really. Anybody knows me, I rarely call for rematches. I probably called for a rematch maybe 5 times in my life. I rarely called for rematches. But that was a fight that was worthy of a rematch. 100%. I thought Regis Prograis deserved a rematch for that just because he went to your hometown. Me personally, if
Yeah,
someone goes to your hometown and they give you the fight of your life and it could be a draw, they even if it's on neutral turf, even if it's on it wasn't his hometown because it was in London, but it's
yeah,
home
yeah.
it's home enough.
Right.
Even if it's on neutral turf, bring it to either um somewhere in America or somewhere, I don't know, Mexico. I don't really care. Just give him another chance because he gave you all the work. And the thing that I loved about Regis so much, bro, was the fact that he could have said, "Oh, the judges cheated me." He could have blamed the referee, the judges. He just took it like a man and said, "You know what? It was a close fight, and if he won, give it to him." That's a real champion, bro. And that's what
Yeah,
when he said that he grew up, he went from here to here. In my like he was, bro. I really like Regis Prograis. He's one of my favorite fighters in the sport.
yeah.
I
I
really
love
like
Regis
Regis.
Prograis, man. Like just everything he brings to the table. Learner, go ahead and speak your piece, brother, on that.
Hey man, yeah, I think it should be a rematch which if Taylor wins. But I've been wanting Regis to fight Ramirez though for a while now. I think that would be a great fight. And I think they should have more fights on neutral ground. I don't know why they don't go to Canada more. Canada's a good place. There's been some good fights over there.
Yeah, Canada, they the type they gonna come out and support a card, and it don't matter if it's a Canadian on it or not. Like they just love boxing.
But you know
Uh,
what it is though, bro. I'll
uh
tell you what it is, Barcelona. What you'll see is a lot of guys want guarantee sales because if you can't put a fight on pay per view, you have to get guarantee sales. And the reason, if you remember, Jeff, you should remember this. Even Barcelona, you should remember this. Remember, Regis Prograis had contractual situations and money situations with the World Boxing Super Series. Remember that?
right,
And he was
right,
taking them to court. They
right.
needed a way to put the money up. And you remember they ended up jumping on a matchroom card and it was Derek Chisora on the undercard versus David Price. Do you remember? And
Yeah,
Derek Chisora was talking to Regis and was like, Regis, you're a little like I don't know if you guys remember that. That was one of the funniest conferences
yeah,
ever.
that
That
press
was
conference was
so funny.
hilarious.
But that was funny now I'm thinking back of it. But that's probably why in that situation why they didn't take a risk and go to a neutral place. Because I originally feel like that fight was supposed to be taking place in America. Because I remember they wanted to fight that fight on the same night as the World Boxing Super Series cruiserweight. But they couldn't because of the money issues that they were having. And
Right.
again, they probably would have had it on neutral turf, but they needed guarantee money and the guarantee money was in the UK, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
it's
huge
like
problem.
Errol Spence, for example. There's no point taking a gamble bringing him to a city when you know he's going to sell 40,000 or however much thousand in his hometown, or Nebraska with Terrence Crawford or whoever else. You see my point?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's neutral places means it's more difficult to handle the money. Because they want to know where the money is coming from. Basically, learner, you have to give the promoter a reason to put it in a neutral spot. So, for example, you take Errol Spence, Danny Garcia,
Yep.
right? You take that fight. You know for a fact you put that in Cowboy Stadium. You know that Errol Spence is going to do crazy numbers. It's going to be a buzz in the city. All of that. Danny Garcia is the guy. He'll go to Texas as he did and go fight. So essentially, you have to mention to the promoter, you got to mention to Al Heyman, PBC. Let's just say Vegas wanted to do the fight. You have to basically explain to the promoter why is Vegas a better option from a business standpoint?
That's a fact.
And that's the problem.
I'll
Like,
give you an
that's the
example.
problem.
I'll
Go
give you
ahead,
an even a greater example before we
Mhm.
get to Will's comment, because I actually want to read Will's comment. I'll give you a
Right.
better example where with AJ. AJ, for the rest of his career, doesn't have to leave the UK. He will sell 90,000 every fight. He
Facts.
sold 80,000 against Carlos Takam. So if
Right.
he fought anybody, he's selling 90,000 against anybody. So if you're in that position, why should I fight in a neutral zone? Why should I go to America and fight in Madison Square Garden? Why should I go to Saudi Arabia and fight in Saudi Arabia? You have to guarantee a certain amount of money, and that's why, especially when fighters are signing, especially when it comes down to percentage, bro, because fighters who are really big, they don't take flat figures. You know,
Nah.
they don't take flat figures. They want percentage. And when you start seeing the real big fighters, I'm talking about the Wilders, Furies, Canelos, they want percentage. They don't want a flat fee.
Let me add on to that. Let me add on to that real quick. Not only they want money up front and the back end.
Exactly.
They front and back end money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and to cap off what Shane said, before we get the Will comment, as far as AJ, that's why I have a lot of respect for AJ, because that gets lost in the shuffle because he lost to Andy Ruiz. He didn't have to come to the States. Like, he didn't have to come to the States. To be honest with you, once the Big Baby Miller fight fell through, he could have just said, screw it. I'm not going to fight, period. I'm just going to go back to the UK. And on top of that, he could have got an opponent that was way less skilled than Andy Ruiz. A lot of people felt like Andy Ruiz beat Joseph Parker. So a lot of people felt like Andy Ruiz should have been a champion.
Yeah, exactly.
At very
You know what I'm
least,
saying?
undefeated.
At the very least, undefeated, even if he wasn't a champion, like if the title got stripped or whatever the case may be. So I have a lot of respect for AJ, and I got a lot of respect for Eddie Hearn too, because he put AJ in the line of fire in a whole different country against a top quality opponent, even though it was short notice when he didn't have to. And the point is, he didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a good point. But it's so much that goes on from a boxing and money aspect between the money and the networks. Like, it's crazy.
That is so important as well, bro, because if a network is guaranteeing you 20 million, and I promise you I get to Will's comment, the network's guaranteeing you 20 million for that fight, you have to make sure it's prime time television. So, for example, let's say the zone's putting up 20 million for a fight, but it's happening in the UK. That's not prime time television. So why would I put up that 20 million? It's the same thing if a British broadcaster was putting up 20 million for it to happen in America. Why would I put up 20 million for a fight that's going to happen at 5 a.m. in the morning? There's no point. You see my point?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes on from the business aspect. But did you understand where we was going with that though?
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yo, let's go to Will Stokes. Shane, go ahead, read that off, bro.
Regis don't have to worry. He'll beam the division after Taylor wins undisputed and goes to 147. See, to me, I actually don't like the fact that you said that, because I feel like Josh Taylor still will have unfinished business at 147. I don't care what anybody says. He would have to fight Regis again, because he can move up to 147 and fight. Yeah, I get that, but you got to clean that division out. It very much reminds me of when Usyk fought Bradis, and he beat Bradis, then became undisputed against Gasayev. And I was like, bro, I want to see the Bradis rematch, because I thought Bradis won the fight. And it's even worse with this one, because I definitely thought Regis won the fight. So me personally, I feel like when you're saying that he should move up and let Regis clean up the division, no, you got unfinished business with Regis, bro.
And it's not even a guarantee Regis Prograis cleans out 140, because you still have Ramirez sitting there. Yeah, you still got Ramirez sitting there.
He's got to get the fights, bro. Let's
And
keep it
yeah,
real.
he has to get the fights. He has to get the fights. And he's still signed with Lou DiBella.
He still, that's the worst thing because Lou DiBella doesn't have any, what's it called? He
He
doesn't
don't have
have
no
any
juice.
ties with
He don't
anyone.
have no juice.
Exactly.
He don't have
I
no
mean,
juice.
he was lucky to even get the Maurice Hooker fight. I was surprised he got that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was so surprised when he got that Maurice Hooker fight.
But the thing is, he got the Hooker fight because they was talking shit on social media. It was already built.
So was him and Broner, but that fight didn't get built, did it?
Yo, Broner, it's funny you said that. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let Lerner get in. As far as Broner's concerned, like Broner loses a Prograis right now. Like he loses a Prograis right now.
That's
Like
not even debate, bro. He
like
lost to Santiago.
yo
So how is he gonna beat Prograis?
yeah, he's like, and we like Broner. It's just Broner's never worked on his skills. Like the same
Bro,
punch variety he been throwing 10 years
bro.
ago.
He don't throw punches. He literally don't throw punches enough. He literally
Hey,
don't throw enough punches.
a Lerner. I was saying was it the last live, bro? Was it the last
Maybe.
one? It might have been the last live. I said, Lerner, I told Shane, I said, yo, I said 2 out of the 3 judges in the Broner fight gave him round 1, and he literally didn't land a punch.
What? Man.
Yo, 2 of the 3 judges gave him round 1. He threw 12 punches. He threw 12 punches in a round and landed none. And they gave him the round.
Teddy Atlas said, was Broner fighting by himself because the judges
right? Yo,
and
it looked like
has a saying as well. He has a saying where if a fighter doesn't throw a lot of punches, they say he says, "Oh, this fighter's fighting like he pays for his punches and he's a cheapskate." That's the definition of Broner.
yeah.
Broner pays. It's like it cost him $1,000 per punch. That's why he don't throw punches.
Yo, it's crazy. Broner threw less than 350 punches in a 12-round fight, bro.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
Like, that's crazy. And he had, I think, 98 landed out of it was 98 landed out of like 340 something punches. And Santiago had 208 landed out of like 670 punches or something like that. Like he literally got doubled up.
Damn.
Like he literally got doubled up in terms of punches thrown and punches landed. And people was just arguing with me on Instagram, was like, yo, he dominated with the jab. He dominated with the jab. I said, yo, I don't pay attention to CompuBox numbers, but when you get doubled up, I'm like, if somebody lands twice as much as you, all your shots better be hard as shit.
Yeah.
All of
them. There's another comment. How far can Taylor go at 147?
Go ahead. You know what? Let's let Lerner get at that. Taylor moves up to 147. You think he can do any damage at 147, bro?
I think he can beat Danny. I think he can beat Porter. I think he beat Thurman where he is now with his injuries and stuff. But Spence, I don't know. That's a tough call. And Terrence, he's just too strong, man. This dude is strong. He's just too strong now. He's really going at 147.
Jamal Crawford?
Yeah, Terrence.
As a Texas boy, I have to ask you this. It's only fair me asking you. As a boy from Texas, are you going to back your boy or are you going to go with Crawford? He's going to win. Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford?
Yeah, I haven't followed Errol Spence's career like that. So when I saw Crawford, I'm like, man, I really like this guy. So I'm going with Crawford because I like Crawford more.
I like Boxer Lerner, yo. I like Boxer Lerner, man. Because the thing is, bro, he could have easily been like, yo, I don't know Spence like that, but since he's from Texas, I'm going to ride out with the Texas guy. But Lerner said, damn all that, yo. Like, I know Crawford. I'm going with Crawford. I like Lerner, yo. I like you, man. You all right with me. Like,
when he says Taylor, what's it called? Taylor at 147. There's certain people that is just not the right style for him. And I think we just exposed him so much in this fact that he's so easy to punch in between. So personally, as much as I think Errol Spence Crawford's a better fighter than Errol. I actually feel like Crawford will Errol will be the worst of style because of how powerful, how much size he has, and how easy it will be for Crawford Errol Spence to punch in between Taylor's shot. And I just feel like if he tried to bring it toe to toe to Errol, Errol will just wear him down and stop him.
Yeah, I think from Will, just to hey Will, if you want to jump in, you can definitely jump in. The link is in the chat. But to answer your question, I look at Josh Taylor versus the top 5-6 guys at 147, and I look at it strictly from a style perspective. So you take Spence. Spence is a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup because Spence is going to make him pay for any wide shots. If he wants to get bold, get brave, that's Spence not the right guy to do that with. And Spence, the reason why he's a bad style matchup is because a lot of Spence shots are short shots. He's probably one of the best in the business at generating power with short shots. Short compact shots. So Spence is a bad matchup. Terrence Crawford is just a bad matchup, period, because he's just that good. Like, he's just a bad matchup, period. Now, you take Keith Thurman, it depends on what Keith Thurman shows up. If the old Keith Thurman shows up, he beats Taylor. But if the new Keith Thurman shows up, even the Keith Thurman that showed up against Pacquiao, I think Taylor can beat that. I think he can beat that Thurman because Thurman throws a lot of wide shots.
Yeah, that's true.
He throws a lot of wide shots.
What do you think about Taylor versus Mikey?
Taylor versus Mikey. At 147, I think I don't know, man. I want to see Mikey fight one more time, and then I'll make it.
I mean, from what I saw, I think Taylor will win that fight. From what I saw, Mikey against Jesse Vargas, I thought Jesse Vargas was giving Mikey the work.
Yeah,
I thought he was giving him the work. I don't know what you guys were thinking, but I thought Jesse Vargas was giving Mikey the work.
Did you see that fight, Lerner?
I did. Jesse looked great in that fight. Like, he was jabbing to the body, then he would drive him to the body, and then jab him to the head. That was beautiful. I don't know what happened. He just got hurt. And then he never recovered.
You know the thing that's crazy though, Lerner? Like, with that fight, I had Jesse winning the early rounds. He got hurt and got knocked down in that round. And for some reason, like, when somebody gets hurt in a fight relatively early, for some reason, the person that knocked the guy down, people just think he's supposed to get rounds after that. And I'm like, a lot of times, like, Jesse, like, Vargas was really doing some good work even after he got knocked down. The reason why I think Josh Taylor beats Mikey Garcia is strictly because Mikey Garcia don't counterpunch. He don't punch with you. Like, it's I throw, you throw, you throw, I throw. Like, so he's not going to make Josh Taylor, he's not going to throw with him, so he's not going to make him pay for anything that he's throwing.
There's a high chance of him getting outworked.
There's a high chance that Josh Taylor is going to outwork him. So that's really a question of, can Josh Taylor handle Mikey's shot? If Josh Taylor can handle Mikey's shot, then Josh Taylor's going to outwork him and win that fight. But let me get to the next question real quick. Will Stokes said Eddie Hearn has to be the best promoter in the sport, 100%. Shane, you want to get on that?
I mean, yeah, I guess to me, he's probably. I personally thought when they gave him promoter of the year last year, I thought they were smoking. I thought Top Rank, Bob Arum was the best promoter last year. But in terms of actual promoter, yeah, I guess you can give it to Eddie Hearn. I mean, all promoters have their flaws and their pros, I guess. But you can give it to Eddie.
Lerner, what you think about that, bro?
Yeah. Recently, Bob's been getting into a lot of beefs with his fighters.
But he still makes big fights. That's what I feel like people find. Like, he still makes massive fights.
Yeah, but that problem is, I think, like, when his fighters get higher, like, in recognition, and when they want more money, that's when the problems really arise.
Nah, that's true. That's
That's a
100%
fact. I
true.
can't disagree with that. But
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. At all. Go ahead, Shane.
what you can't, what people I think, like, especially when people were talking about Eddie Hearn last year. Eddie Hearn didn't make one big fight last year, one massive fight last year. Whereas, I mean, they can say Canelo versus Callum Smith, but that's not a massive fight. I mean, you look at what Bobarum done. He done two generational fights. Teofimo Lopez versus Loma and Wilder versus Fury. Those are two generational fights. It doesn't really matter what fighter you like or what fighter you don't like. To do that in a year which is affected by a pandemic, I don't care what fighter you are, what promoter you are. You deserve respect for that. You deserve respect for that.
Hey, Shane Lerner, check my answer real quick. So, Top Rank and Bob Arum put on the better fights. But in terms of the process of being a promoter, and I'm talking about being at the press conferences, doing interviews with a lot of different outlets, actually talking to the media, social media, things like that, actually going through the process of building a fight or building a fighter. I feel like Eddie Hearn is the best at that. I feel like he's more in touch with today's media and today's marketing
I agree
than
with that.
any other
Yeah.
promoter out there. It's funny because a lot of people they'll get pissed off if you don't say Al Heyman is not the best promoter in the game, and I'm like, he's not a promoter.
Yeah.
Even if we class him as a promoter, which we do know he's a promoter, but just even
Right,
because he's got a managerial contract, which is basically a promoted contract just with the name change. But let's not get into that. Al Heyman doesn't do anything as a promoter because he doesn't even speak. Like, how can you
right,
promote those who cannot speak? That doesn't
right.
make
That's
sense to me.
yeah. I'm like his name is not listed as a promoter on any fight card. He hires a smaller promotional company to handle the legwork as far as the actual promotion. If you actually look at Al Heyman, and some people are not gonna like what I'm getting ready to say, but been listening to me long enough. I don't get too damns about that. When it comes down to it, what superstar has, and it's for the people that feel like Al Heyman is a promoter or a great promoter or whatever the case may be, what fighter has he actually built into a superstar?
I guess Wilder.
Yeah, like what fighter has he built into a superstar?
That's what I'm saying. I guess Errol or Wilder.
But did
Arrow
he
is the
necessarily build them?
What did you say?
What'd you say, Lerner?
well, wasn't Arrow with Golden Boy first? So
Not that I know
Uh,
of.
Earl was he? You know what? He was fighting on. He was basically that whole squad was with fighting under Golden Boy's banner when the whole HBO thing was going down.
I think I remember Charlo talking about that. To be honest.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of those guys was fighting under the Golden Boy banner, but they wasn't signed to him. And that's when De La Hoya was kind of on his, his cocaine and
Oh yeah, because that's
fishnets and
basically
high heels.
that's basically how Al Heyman got all of those guys from
He
Golden
got
Boy over to
yeah,
PBC.
he got
That's
all
what I'm
them
saying.
guys. Yeah, like he got.
What about Wilder? He built Wilder up.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can say
Was
so.
that Al Heyman or was that Wilder? I think
I
Wilder
was
was
getting
put
ready to
together
say,
with both
like,
strong
if
promoters.
to be honest with you, I'm like, I don't think he had a lot of belief in Wilder because it took him 34, 35. It took him like 30 something fights.
I know what you're gonna bring up as well, the Charles Martin situation.
Yeah, so yeah, learn. I don't know. You may not have been listening to the channel when I was saying this, but I always tell people, I'm like, Deontay Wilder was supposed to have been the one that was supposed to have been a multiple belt champion at heavyweight. So when Charles Martin won the title, Deontay Wilder had a belt. Both of them were under the PBC banner. So Al Heyman had a decision to make: either put Charles Martin up against Deontay Wilder and
Keep it
You
in
have
house.
unified champion under your banner, or you send him over to Eddie Hearn in the UK for a big bag of money against Anthony Joshua. And my point is, if um, if Al Heyman had any type of real faith in Deontay Wilder becoming a superstar, then he would have made that happen with Charles Martin, and he would have made Wilder a
But
multiple belt champion.
what I would say though, is at the time he came under the Klitschko banner, and heavyweight was ice cold at that time. It was frozen. It was completely. It was a desert in that. It was so boring because of the Klitschko's, and I don't feel like there was a much attraction to the heavyweight division at the time.
Let
So
me let me tell you
him
something.
investing that money into
Mhm.
Wilder might be unnecessary. I don't know. I'm just giving him a defense.
Well, I'm gonna tell you where he really doesn't have a defense. So let's just say, exactly what happened. Charles Martin, he goes over there, he gets knocked out. In his bless you. He gets knocked out, and Charles Martin makes a couple $1,000,000. Al Heyman gets the bag off of that. Cool. Here's the thing. So you put Charles Martin up against Deontay Wilder. Number one, that's a unification fight, right? Number two, you get to build both guys' names. Number three, it's an in-house fight. So even though it's less money, you get to keep all of the money because it's in-house. You ain't got to pay nobody else. And on top of that, the winner of that fight has more leverage in terms of
It's
the
Anthony
AJ
Joshua.
fight.
That's a fact.
So he should have had them two fight anyway, because if Wilder wins that fight, now Eddie Hearn wants AJ to get a title fight against a two belt holder at heavyweight. So now Eddie Hearn is either going to have to bring Anthony Joshua to the States, or the
He's gonna
winner of
have
that
to
fight,
pay
he's
a
going to
hell of
put
a
up,
lot of
he was
money.
going to have to pay probably double or triple just to get the fight in the UK. So it was just a mistake all the way around. And people get mad because I bring it up, but I'm like, is that not a fact? From a business standpoint,
Of course.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of like, like learner, that's like somebody telling you, like, all right, listen, you can, you can make $100 right now, but if you make this one move 3 months later, you might be able to make $1,000. It's either you're desperate enough to take the $100 right now, or you're gonna be patient and wait and get to the 1,000. It's simple, like business. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's a business decision. And I'm like, Al Heyman being one of the smartest guys in the world, I was surprised that he made that move, because I'm like, there wouldn't be no AJ movement if it wasn't for Al. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be no AJ movement if
That
it
was
wasn't for Al.
AJ's inception into the division. That's how he even got into
Absolutely.
the division.
Absolutely. And learner, you've been listening to a lot of channels. Have you heard anybody make that case?
Yeah, I've actually two guys. CJ Goodfella talked about it.
Goodfellas Sports TV.
Goodfella Sports TV. Uh, and then someone else I can't remember, but yeah, CJ said he should have just made Charles Martin and CJ's been talking about that. Al Heyman never had really any faith in Wilder, but Wilder, he managed to get to where he was by knockouts, and he
Yeah.
also became a.
I believe Al Heyman was the reason why that that contract ran down. I'm gonna keep it 100. I believe because Shelly Finkel's a manager. He's not a promoter, so he's not putting his hand in his pockets for the first and the second Wilder fight. They put a lot of money in that fight, and Wilder lost. The
I,
third fight, they would have to put the same amount of money in, and let's keep it real. They probably thought, yeah, we will make a lot of money, but we might not leave with the champion. So I feel like that's probably the reason why Al Heyman didn't make that fight. I'll keep it real, but I'll keep it. Someone brought up a point last live, and I actually feel like that was a good point. So I might retract what I just said. Who brought up a point? I think it might have been YSM who brought up a real good point of why that fight didn't happen.
Yeah, it was YSM
Yeah, I'm gonna
and
retract my point because he brought up a good point which I didn't even think about.
but I'm gonna piggyback off of that. I'm gonna piggyback off of YSM's point. But Lerner,
You got some comments.
I got you. I got you. Lerner, to be honest with you, CJ is the only other person that I heard actually say that. Um so that's how I know that you actually listen to a lot of channels because I actually wanted to see that was a little test run. I just wanted to see
I'm
what
not,
what
I
you
don't
was
watch
gonna
a lot of
say.
channels, so I didn't even know.
No, CJ Goodfella Sports TV. He's the only other person that I heard say that exact same thing. And to be honest with you, I don't know if he said it before me or after me, but he's the only other person that I heard make that claim. And that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of people they make these claims about Wilder, and I'm a Wilder fan, but I'm like Al Heyman had an opportunity to make him a multi-belt champion before the hype was there. And you can tell how much you believe in a guy by what you do for them before the hype
But
comes.
even this is the thing though. This is the thing which I look at crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when and Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz fought for the vacant WBO belt, which
Right.
was the belt that Fury relinquished. I mean, I know he didn't have the what's it called? The He doesn't have the allegiance with the WBO, but they were trying to make David Hay fight Joseph Parker. And I'm thinking, couldn't you just I mean, again, you don't have much belief in him, but I'm pretty sure you could have put some money up Joseph Parker's way and get him the fight. I mean, I don't know, bro. I just kind of look
Yeah.
at it a bit weird.
So boxing learner, I just want to let you know before we get in the comments. Matter of fact, before I make my YSM point and then get in the comments, you did pass the one test that I gave you. You didn't
Just,
even know you were
just,
getting
I
tested.
don't know why this guy's setting tests anyway.
I set tests in certain traps just to see if people will be capping when it comes down to me. So the fact that Learner is not capping, uh, we definitely appreciate that because he could have just said he didn't know or he hasn't heard anybody. But
Fair
the
enough.
fact that he
Fair
said
enough.
CJ Goodfellow, I was like, that's the only person. That's the only person. And he said the other person he heard, he said he don't remember the name. So that's how I know. I'm just like, yeah, like there's very few people that I've heard actually say that. But to go to YSM's point, as far as Wilder and Fury and why that third fight didn't happen,
Yep.
here's my only thing. In the contract, the original due date for the fight, like, went and gone. Like, it just went. My problem with Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel when it comes down to that situation, you can't you can't actually negotiate with a rival promoter under quote unquote good faith.
No.
And that was my problem. That was my problem. They
Yeah.
operated
Especially,
they
bro, when you're
operated
talking
with
about the money that's on the table.
yeah,
That's a good
and the
point.
thing is when YSM said it, I let him slide with it because we had a good amount of people in the live and all that, and I didn't want the live to go left. The fact that they operated with Top Rank and Tyson Fury out of quote unquote good faith, that's the problem that I had. So,
That's a
learner, let me
very,
break it
very
down
good
to you
point.
this way. Let me break it down to you this way. So, if Tyson Fury is a quote unquote cheater, he cheated in the first fight, he cheated in the second fight, all this and all that. Would you do business with somebody like that under good faith, or would you put something down on paper? Make sure something's down on paper.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. You know, I would have.
It's not, but even to go further than that, Jeff, which I would say is even the most significant part, is the fact that what else is on the table? There's a more lucrative. What is holding Bob Arum, Top Rank, Tyson Fury to come back to the negotiating table with you? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing is having them to come back to you. They probably have a more or as lucrative option elsewhere. So why would they do that? I get what you mean about the good faith comment.
Yeah, that was my problem though. That was my problem. I'm like, if Top Rank is shady and Tyson Fury is shady, he's cheating this, that, and the third. I'm like, why would you negotiate in good faith? Like, if the date passed as far as a contract and y'all are negotiating something, then you get something else down on paper, or you go into some type of arbitration or something before it even gets bad. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's too much money on the table, so they left the door, like they left the door open. It's kind of like it's kind of like, if you let a thief into your house, like if something gets stolen, like that's your fault. If you knew he was a thief, you don't let him in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like it's similar to that. Like, it's crazy. But let me get in the comments real quick. Sewell A said the only way Broner has a chance against Regis is to have a no training camp clause in the contract. That's funny.
The reason why he would win that is because he'll be like 500 pounds, bro. Broner gets way out of weight when he's in.
Oh yeah, he man, Broner be looking like Bruce out there with no camp, man. He'd be looking crazy. Will Stokes laughing and Sewell. Will Stokes, yeah, man. Hurd has more followers on social media than 95% of the fighters. That's a fact. That's a fact. He does his job. The actual job description of a promoter, Eddie Hearn does the job description the best. Not saying he's the best promotional company or anything like that, or he gets the best fights, but in terms of the actual job description, he actually attempts to promote the fight and the fighters. And when people don't like that, they'll say, "Oh, well, he's all in the videos, he's all in the cameras, and all this and all that." I'm like,
the P Diddy stuff,
the P Diddy stuff, the Suge Knight P Diddy thing, all in the videos. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, you're supposed to be in the videos. You a damn promoter. You supposed to be in the videos. You know what I'm saying? Will Stokes said, "I highly doubt they would have been able to make the fight between AJ and the winner of Wilder and Martin. They probably would have waited until after Parker Ruiz for AJ's title shot." Will, I disagree with that, because AJ and Eddie Hearn had the bag. They had the biggest bag at heavyweight. A fight in the UK was bigger than any fight they could put on in the US because the heavyweight division was that cold. Shane, am I lying?
That's a fact. You had guys like AJ, he was fighting British title fight that was getting more pay-per-views than Klitschko and Fury, and that was unification. And it was only 1 hour apart. So they can't say it's about the timing because it was only 1 hour apart. It was at 10 o'clock at night in England, which is prime time. So literally, AJ versus Dylan White, which was a British title fight, done more pay-per-view numbers than Fury versus Klitschko.
Hey, that fight with AJ and what you call it, Dylan White is actually a pretty entertaining fight. You know, that's
Hell yeah.
It's probably one of my guiltiest pleasures, man. That fight is so good. I like to watch it.
Did you just call it a guilty pleasure? Hey man, it's all right to like them fights, brother. It's all right, man. But the one thing though, I know why you said that, because a lot of people, like depending on the channels you go to, like they will frown on something like that.
Yeah,
and, it's boxing is a global sport, so you're not really supposed to frown on fights that are good because of where they're from. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to like those fights. That was a very entertaining fight. Like even the build up to it, all of that.
That's what was dope about it. The build up.
That was a dope ass fight. Like, and there ain't nothing wrong with liking it neither. You know what I'm saying? We got the family D Hodges in the building. Say what's up, G5 Jeff in the chat. LDBC salute. Big shout out to D Hodges. I'm mad my bro BoxingFirst Vlog couldn't get up in here, man. We gotta figure out what's going on with his thing. But Shane, we've been cooking for about an hour and a half, man. So we're gonna close it out with that. We definitely gonna be back on live tomorrow.
hold on, I'm about to. All right.
Boxing Learner, big shout out to you, bro. We appreciate you. jumping on. You want to give the people any social media, anything before you jump up out of here?
No, I just got a channel called Boxing Learner.
You have a
Okay,
channel.
you got a
I
channel.
didn't even know that.
Boxing Learner, yeah.
Okay, did you just start it?
Started to think about maybe a year ago.
When did you start taking it serious?
I haven't started taking this serious yet, bro.
Okay, so listen, learner, if you want, what you can do is if you want to take it serious and you want to reach out to me or reach out to Shane, on Instagram or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
Well, I'm
definitely
literally
do so.
typing it in my phone right now. But I can't. I see it. The best way to find it to anybody who wants to find it is get rid of the space between boxing and learner.
Just type in Boxing Learner and go subscribe to his channel. But if you want to have a conversation, and it's completely up to you. If you want to have a conversation about how to, kind of go about your channel, in terms of content and things like that. And even if you have any questions, bro, you can shoot them at me. You can shoot them at Shane. We'll answer whatever questions that you have. Like I literally went
First
from
step will
0
be
to
getting an
7,300.
Instagram and
Yeah,
follow one of us on Instagram. Get an
definitely
Instagram.
start an Instagram and just follow one of us or follow both of us on Instagram. We answer that immediately. Start an Instagram, Twitter, get into Facebook groups and things like that. And really start networking and get yourself out there because you're in Texas, so you're in a prime spot to really do some really good work. And like I said, man, like when you start a channel, we all start from somewhere. And I met Shane when I had like 20 something subscribers, and he's still here, and I'm at 7,300. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the offer is out there to you. If you wanna reach out, we're definitely here. We'll definitely help any way we can. I know when I jump off, I know I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. I didn't even know you had a channel.
Me
Like,
neither.
that's the first problem. You know what I'm saying? Like people gotta know, like
But as you were saying,
that
you
you
will
have
be
a channel.
taking it serious. So maybe it
Yeah,
depends on what it
so
is. Depends
but
on
I
what it is.
think but I think some people don't take it serious because they don't have a vision. You
But
know
you
what
know
I'm
what?
saying?
Hit me up on Instagram because I feel like what you're doing right now is probably a really good concept because I feel like the fact that there's a lot of casual, not saying you're casual because you're not a casual, but there is a lot of casuals trying to convert into hardcore fans.
Correct.
And you're probably one of those people who's made that transition in how to become a hardcore fan. And the reason why that's so important is because as a fan, you know, you want to be up to date with the sport as much as possible so you enjoy the sport as much as possible. And I
Yeah.
feel like your channel it's dope, man. It's dope if you could do that. It's dope if you could do
And,
that. So hit me up on Instagram.
yeah, and Will Stokes just said I'll go sub to your channel, learner. So that's why it's good to network because you came in here just to chop it up and you ended up being on the show. Like that's one of our niches. That's one of the things that we do. So now I don't know how many subs you had, but you're gonna end up having 3 or 4 more subs than you did before you got on this live. You understand what I'm saying? So networking always leads you to the next step. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, if you want to reach out to us, definitely, definitely do so. Any way we can help, we will help. Even if you want to start doing lives and things like that, getting yourself out there, you want for me to come on your live, I'll definitely do that. Shane, I'm pretty sure Shane, wouldn't have a problem doing it. BoxingFirst Vlog, you know what I'm saying? And we get some traffic over your way, man. But Boxing Learner, we appreciate you jumping on, brother. And again, keep in touch, keep in contact. Definitely still, jump on this channel and and if we got space, we gonna give you the invite. You know what I'm saying? You can jump on at any time.
All right.
But keep up with us, all right, bro?
All right.
All right, appreciate your family. Hey Shane, man, like we was dropping some good knowledge today, you know what I mean, even though the crowd was light. So um give them your social media, and also you want to get them a little sneak peek of what we got cooking, or
No, not at all.
you gonna hold off on
Not
that?
at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. There's not enough audience for me to do that because I'll be wasting my breath.
Okay, go ahead.
Just
What's your social media?
I'm Shane one. And if you do watch it on the, because I know people like Scott watches it back on when it's done because he misses it. So just
Right.
follow us on Instagram because the next, let's say, I don't want to say 48 hours to make it a bit too tight, but I'll say the next.
No, I no. Let's go there. Let's
No,
go
I'll
there.
say it's longer than that. Next,
Well,
next
by the end of the week. By the end of the
by the
week.
end of the week, by the end of the week, you will see that the work is incredibly has incredibly increased ridiculously in the sense of what you have and what you're going to receive. And that's all I can say. Literally, significantly, like more than your mind could even think, is significantly increased. Like what you're about to receive is ridiculous. So, like, and I don't say things if they're not true because I'm a boxing fan first.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's Shane's Instagram down the bottom. I underscore am Shane, the number one. And big shout out to the family boxing first vlog. For some reason, just some technical difficulties. I mean, it happens. But big shout out to him. That's his link below. To make it easy to find him, if you can't copy and paste that, definitely just type in boxing, then first vlog, and then take the spaces out. So boxing first vlog, all one word,
Now,
and
not the
he'll come
number
up.
one, FIRST.
Yes, FIRST, and then vlog, all one word. Just type it in YouTube, and it'll come up. And definitely go subscribe to this channel. That's the family. Big shout out to the general. Boxing First Vlog. You can find me, of course, on here, G5Jeff TV on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Everything is G5Jeff TV, everywhere. We're over 500 on Twitter, close to 500 on Instagram, Facebook. We're over 500. And on YouTube, we're at 7,300 right now, close to 7,300 right now. So we definitely moving. We have some surprises for you by the end of the week. Um, and we're basically going to be stepping up the lives. We're going to be stepping up the lives because a lot of times with lives, just you get on with your buddies and you just talk some boxing or whatever, and whoever comes in. But we have to give people a reason to actually come on lives on a consistent basis outside of just talking boxing because of a particular topic. So our job is to cover the entire sport, from the fighters to the trainers to the cutmen to the referees to the judges to the promoters, the managers, and everything. So we're going to be creating content to address every aspect of boxing, point blank period. So you definitely want to stay up with me on Instagram, mainly Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. That's a must. Shane as well on Instagram, and we're gonna be dropping um some of these surprises on Instagram and let you guys know exactly what's gonna be going on with the channel, what's gonna be going on with the lives, and y'all not gonna want to miss it. So on behalf of the VP Shane, appreciate you jumping on, bro. And your boy G5 Jeff TV, we are out.